Hello. Iffley village, in a designated conservation area beside the River Thames, has been swallowed up by Oxford. The Grade 1 listed parish church of St Mary is an impressive building for what was once a small rural community. It was built in the mid-12th century to a grand church plan, with a crossing tower between chancel and nave. The tower's arches are supported by polished black marble columns. The local lord was Robert of San Remi, a minor Norman noble, and it's been suggested that St Mary's is too sophisticated to be his foundation, and that Geoffrey de Clinton of Kenilworth Castle, who had interest in the area, is a more likely patron. But Robert had land elsewhere and had significant resources. There's been restoration and modifications over the centuries, but many of St Mary's Norman Romanesque features have survived, including the round-headed arches and distinctive zigzag and beak-head moulding above the entrance. Inside is a stained glass window by John Piper, depicting animals announcing the Nativity. An ancient yew tree in the churchyard is an indication this might have been a pre-Christian meeting place, possibly a pagan sacred site. Trees played an important role in folklore. We still touch wood for luck today. Yew trees are frequently associated with churchyards. Exceptionally long-lived and evergreen, they were seen as symbols of immortality. The house in Mill Lane next to St Mary's was for many years known as the Rectory. It's been modified and extended over time, but contains traces that take the story of the property back to around the time the church itself was built. Although it belonged to the church and was called the Rectory, after the Reformation it was occupied mainly by secular tenants. The house enjoys a fine position beside the Thames. In 1979 it was sold by the church commissioners to the building preservation charity the Landmark Trust, whose plans were to carry out restoration work and bring the building back to life by dividing it into two properties, creating a holiday let, now known as the Old Parsonage, which had been built as an extension to the rectory around 1500, turning the earlier part of the property into a vicarage. Inscribed in Latin, on a frieze below a fine 16th century decorative plaster ceiling in the sitting room of the Old Parsonage, is a quotation from 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1. For we know that if our earthly house and tabernacle were destroyed, we have a building of God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. And a phrase from Psalm 101, I will walk in my house with a perfect heart. The sitting room and dining room have had their cosy 17th century wood panelling restored. A garden that extends to the riverside contains a venerable mulberry tree. In 1608, James I imported thousands of mulberry saplings in an attempt to establish a silk industry in England. The high sheriffs of every county received a request from the king which began, "It would please his majesty greatly and be a sign of great affection if..." It then went on to ask them to buy stocks of trees and sell them on to the gentry of their shires. At 4 trees for a penny, it wasn't a great investment, and lots of trees were planted. Unfortunately, they were the wrong type of mulberry. Silkworms are fussy eaters and only feed on white mulberry. Those on offer were the black variety. Although black mulberry trees were introduced into this country by the Romans, they were rare and seen as exotic. Mature trees are easy to distinguish, but as whips it would have been difficult to tell them apart. The tree in the garden of the Old Parsonage at Iffley may be one of those original black mulberry saplings from the failed royal venture, or perhaps a descendant. The Old Parsonage has been fully restored by the Landmark Trust and is available as a holiday let. Now next time, I'm going to take a look at a house with some fine decorative ceilings from a golden age of plasterwork in the southwest of England. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available. Or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.